Day 6, talking about a really important topic. Are you going to go for short-term gain or long-term glory? You've got to make that decision. If you're going to move beyond mediocrity, you've got to decide which one you're going to go for. And Dr. John Andrews is going to break this down for you.
Running through this. Title is short-term versus long-term glory.
Yeah.
And obviously you start off on page 70. He's got, sometimes in order to break through into success, we have to, once again, as you mentioned earlier with the sky situation, have to sacrifice short-term gains for the prospects of long-term glory. But then you're also right, Moses teaches that a vision determines choice. And one of the key things I think, do people enough, maybe when you was writing this, did you think a lot of people don't really have a long-term goal? There's no real, it's very much about the here and now. Is that where you're coming from?
I think that's true. I think it's an interesting thing. We're in the middle of a recession. So in the middle of that, you get lots of conversation around finances and debt and saving. And some of the stats coming out about the short-termism of people's view of finance. Yeah. I heard a man say when I was, years and years ago when I was a boy in church, and I never forgot it, it sort of seared into my head. Yeah. He said, if you play today, you'll pay tomorrow.
You play till you pay tomorrow. Yeah.
If you pay today, you can play tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, we have a culture in the Western world of playing today. Yeah. So don't worry about tomorrow. Don't think about tomorrow. In fact, if I don't think about tomorrow, it's not real. Yeah, yeah. So it'll go away. And I'm 21. What do I want to think about my pension at 65 for? Yeah. That's like forever. Yeah. That's years away. And I get all that. I understand all that. But the more short term you are, the more prone you are to mediocrity. Right. Mediocrity and short termism go hand in hand. Fantastic. You cannot be a person who breaks mediocrity if you only think about the next 5 minutes. Yeah. So I try to teach people this. Live in the present, but don't live for the present. Yeah. Fantastic. There's a difference. It sounds like semantics, but it's a completely different thing. Living in the present is me living right now to the full. Yeah. Saying, I'm going to give my best to this context. I'm going to do my best because I know that this moment leads to a next moment, which leads to a next moment. Living for the present says stuff the next moment. Yeah. It's just about the here and now. Yeah. Now, if you apply that to your marriage, you'll end up in adultery. Yeah. If you apply that to your business, you'll end up broke. Yeah. If you apply that to your kids, you'll end up lonely. Yeah. If you apply that to your spirituality, you'll end up disappointed. So you can't just think of the moment. Yeah. Every moment leads to another moment, which leads to another moment, which leads to another moment. Yeah. And the more you think of the connecting moments, Stephen Covey Sr., who's recently died, wrote a phenomenal book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Great chapter in there called Begin with the End in Mind. Yeah. It's just genius. No, it's a world bestseller. Yeah. And that chapter, that phrase has become a mantra of my life. Yeah. Begin with the end in mind. Don't just think about today. Ask the question, if I carry on the way I'm going, what would it look like in 10 years?
That's a very good
So if I eat the way I'm eating, what am I going to look like in 5 years' time? Yeah. If I keep spending my money the way I'm spending it, what does that look like in 5 years' time? If I keep treating my wife the way I'm treating her now, what's that going to look like?
Love that.
Now, outside of stuff coming at us which we've no control over, let's say everything remains lovely. Yeah. Then the decisions I'm making today are part of my destiny tomorrow.
So the practical, anybody who's watching this video and saying, okay, what can I take? Let me write down who it is that I want to be, what it is that I want to achieve. Absolutely. Not just tomorrow, what I want to, but have that big long-term goal. Absolutely. Who do I really want to be in the end? Yeah. And then obviously, with the end in mind, your little steps all the way up to, and that will then determine what you do. Totally. In the short term. So the long term actually affects, obviously, as you're saying,
it does.
The short term instead of the short term.
I think it's absolutely correct. I think, and without sort of, we're not talking about knowing every detail of the next 10 years of your life, but we're saying the further, the more long term your goal, the more that can actually help you deal with the details of today. Yeah. You make decisions today based on where you want to go. Not just on right now. Yeah. So I'm about to spend 100 quid on something stupid. Yeah. Okay. If I've no vision for the future, I'll waste that 100 quid. Yeah. The minute I get a vision for the future, my £100 takes on purpose. Yeah. and then it's not wasted. I can take a section of that £100, enjoy it today, but I can take a section of that £100 and invest it towards the future.
Yeah.
And the more you learn to do that with your life, then the more meaning you bring into the ordinary.
Fantastic.
The mediocre stuff that nobody enjoys.
Yeah.
But all that stuff takes on energy.
Yeah.
Because it's going somewhere.
Now here's a final question on this chapter. Do you have your goals always set before you? You hear so many things, like people got a vision board, people have got goals set out written on a board. What do you do?
Well, I do. I have long-term goals for my life.
Yeah.
Some of those would be quite generic.
Yeah.
So, for example, we would have a goal of being debt-free.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very definite goal. So we're living our lives. Now, we achieved debt-free living last summer.
Yeah.
And then the Lord called us to here, and we had to move to Solihull, where house prices are a lot more expensive than they were up north.
Yeah.
And suddenly we're no longer debt-free.
Yeah.
But we're immediately re-engaged with that plan. So
Fantastic.
the Bible says that the person who borrows is the slave of the person who lends.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't want to be a slave.
Yeah.
I want to be free.
Yeah.
So that I can be a lender to others. Now that's
Fantastic.
a life goal. Now in order to achieve, that might take 10 years.
Yeah.
May take 15 years.
Yeah.
But if I achieve that goal, I'm going to save more money than I thought possible.
Yeah.
And then when I get debt free, or as I get debt free, I can actually be incredibly generous to the world around me.
Fantastic. Thank you.